It's not a narrative. These are things that happen to kids, and in our case, an elementary student.
Allegations of harassment and assault.
The district is going to point fingers at whoever they can so as to not be held accountable.
Parents say the Cherry Creek School District didn't protect their kid and dropped the ball in properly relaying information.
We want the district to look at these things and say, hey, listen, we could have done something.
New video tonight shows Elbert County's clerk of courts apparently making copies of election system hard drives. And now he has to answer to the Secretary of State.
Plus a sight we haven't seen in more than a month. And we're tracking more much-needed rain for Colorado in our Denver 7 forecast. And good evening, and thank you for watching Denver 7 News at 6. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. Today, Denver 7 learned it took Cherry Creek schools 6 months to notify the parents of a sexual harassment victim that their daughter's federal case was being dismissed.
That delayed response came even though the district admitted the case did rise to the level of harassment, and the district took corrective action on its own.
Denver 7's Russell Haythorne following up with a family today that believes the district is failing children.
Nearly half a year.
This is an epidemic. The district isn't dealing with it.
That's how long Ben Toth and Sarah Butler say it took Cherry Creek schools to inform them that a sexual harassment case filed on behalf of their daughter had been dismissed.
It's not a narrative. These are things that happen to kids, and in our case, an elementary student.
We first introduced you to Sarah and Ben last week. They are part of a group of parents who have come forward about sexual harassment and sexual assault among Cherry Creek students.
We ended up having to transfer my daughter to Elevation's full online school.
Several parents claiming the district taking little action to protect victims. Then last Friday, 4 days after Denver 7's initial report, a compliance officer with the district sent Ben and Sarah a letter stating in part, I wrote a dismissal letter and provided it to the school. That was back in December. The letter goes on to say, unfortunately, I did not provide the letter of formal dismissal to you. That was an oversight on my part.
And reading that for the first time after waiting so long was so disheartening and discouraging, because I would have never thought that the district would just say, oh, hey, whoops, we forgot to tell you, but it's no big deal.
There was no apology in the letter, and Ben and Sarah are more dismayed than ever at what they call utter negligence on many levels.
The common denominator here is the district.
In their case, their 7-year-old daughter was shown pornographic terms on a computer by a male student at Antelope Ridge.
She didn't deserve what happened to her, and as parents, we didn't get the opportunity to have conversations with her at the appropriate age.
In the letter to the parents dated April 29th, which was last Friday, the district admitted the case did rise to the level of sexual harassment under board policy. The letter says the district took action to prevent further harassment, including disciplinary measures against students involved and a requirement all staff be more familiar with Title IX and school board harassment policies. But Ben and Sarah want to reiterate this was never about teachers, but rather district leadership.
Is the district failing? I mean, is the district not doing enough?
The district is going to point fingers at whoever they can so as to not be held accountable.
Everybody else sees it. Why they don't, we don't understand.
Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
In a statement to Denver 7 this afternoon, Cherry Creek Schools said, quote, we do not have concerns that this is a systemic issue.
Colorado lawmakers are trying to save homeowners and business owners money on their property taxes, and they plan to introduce a bill this week. And if passed, a home assessed at $500,000 would see roughly $274 in property tax savings in 2023. Those savings would be just a little bit less in 2024. Businesses with a $500,000 commercial property value won't see any increase in their property taxes. Now, Governor Polis says this is just one piece of the housing puzzle.
One piece of affordability is property taxes, and cutting property taxes an average of $275 for a home puts that money right back in the pocket of Coloradans who will be able to use it to grow our economy or save for their future.
The money for this is coming from a surplus in the state budget. It will not impact schools or fire districts. And just last week, Governor Polis announced a one-time tax refund for Coloradans by the end of summer. Single tax filers who would receive $400, joint filers $800. Now, we have spoken to several Republican lawmakers who question the timing of these incentives. They say it's a way to gain support ahead of the midterm elections.
State Senate Minority Leader Chris Elbert is stepping down from his position. He'll relinquish his leadership May 15th, and he will resign from the Senate at midnight on the 31st. The Republican from Douglas County is moving to Florida to be closer to family. The Senate Majority Caucus will meet next week to elect the next minority leader.
A Colorado district court has ordered the Elbert County clerk to hand over copies he made of the county's voting systems. Now, this is part of an investigation into whether he possibly breached election security protocols. And new today, we've obtained video from inside the server room when those copies were made. Here is Denver 7's Patrick Perez.
Newly obtained video by Denver 7 shows Elbert County Clerk Dallas Schroeder allegedly making copies of the county's voting system hard drives in August of last year. The video was released this weekend by the Secretary of State's office as part of an ongoing investigation into Schroeder's actions.
Clerk Schroeder breached election rules, failed to follow election orders issued by myself, and so that's concerning.
According to court documents filed Friday, Schroeder admits to making 2 copies of the hard drives of Elbert County's election management server, 2 scanning computers, and the adjudication computer. The copies were made a day before a scheduled update to the voting system. One of those copies was handed over to his lawyer and another to a still unidentified private attorney. Whether any of this is illegal was not up for the district judge to decide. His job was to determine whether Schroeder needs to comply with Griswold's orders to answer her questions and turn over the hard drives. The answer is yes, he does. Meanwhile, Griswold is concerned that the information contained within those drives could be used to push misinformation.
Unauthorized people, one of whom has only been identified as a private attorney, should not have unauthorized copies of Colorado voting systems.
Griswold was made aware of the hard drive's existence after Schroeder and others filed a lawsuit claiming the election software used by Colorado counties in 2020 was not properly certified.
It started here in Colorado, but across the nation, we're seeing election officials embrace conspiracies and become themselves a security risk.
Schroeder has previously refused to share the location of the hard drives or say who exactly has them. But he's now been ordered by a district court judge to hand them over no later than Wednesday afternoon and answer Griswold's questions by Tuesday afternoon. Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
And we reached out to Elbert County Clerk Dallas Schroeder for comment and have not heard back.
3 people killed in a shooting in northeast Denver last week have now been identified. The Denver coroner's office identified 22-year-old Don Allen Jr., 65-year-old Denise Hood, and 4-year-old Makey Parham Allen as victims of the shooting at the East Range Crossings apartment complex on April 26th. All had multiple gunshot wounds. Police have not released information about a suspect here. Aurora Police keeping its promise to crack down on street racing. In fact, last night, APD officers were out on patrol for them. Officers shared these pictures with us. In this one, you can see all the cars near a warehouse off Airport Road and Smith Road. The next one, you can see tires in the bed of a truck just shredded. Look at that. And it is those shredded tires that slowed the driver enough for officers to issue a summons for reckless driving.
The dangers come with all of the unknowns, right? All of this reckless driving through parking lots, on the streets, right? They're doing these donuts and these burnouts, and they're putting people's lives in danger.
Police say the racing is also damaging property like pavement, the stripes in parking lots, of course, things that other people have to pay for. An ordinance recently passed in Aurora allows for police to impound cars involved in racing, and you can call Aurora Police to report street racing.
The unsolved murder case of JonBenet Ramsey has captivated the country for decades now. 25 years after she was killed, a Change.org petition is circulating asking for her case to be removed from the Boulder Police Department. Now, this petition has more than 2,500 signatures, and it is supported by JonBenet's father, John. The petition is calling on the state and Governor Polis to use new DNA technology to help solve the case. And Governor Polis says the state will look into how it can help. Boulder police say it used new DNA technology most recently in March. And Boulder says as of this past December, CBI has updated over 750 reference samples with the latest technology. And case DNA is checked regularly for new matches. Now, Boulder Police Chief Maris Harold added, quote, every time new DNA technology is changed, we work to make sure the evidence could be tested.
119 wild horses now have died at the BLM facility in Kansas City. 2 new deaths reported today and 15 over the week. An equine flu outbreak began on April 23rd. And the horses impacted were all rounded up in August of last year by the BLM. And last week, BLM told Denver 7 those rounded up horses were only partially vaccinated for the equine flu.
It was a chilly and damp day across the metro area, but warmer and drier for Tuesday with another chance for rain arriving by the middle of the week. I'll have your forecast coming up.
First responders are used to helping others.
Major casualties, right? Seeing wounded women and children.
Well, today, they help themselves.
We tried to break the stigma of not talking about the things that keep us up late at night.
Plus, the Avs have their eyes on the Stanley Cup. What to watch before their playoff run starts tomorrow.